In the book of Vayikra, third book of the Torah, Leviticus 23, chapter 23, verse 15, the verse states, "You shall count from the day that you brought the omer as a wave offering." The omer was a measure of barley, approximately 2 quarts, that the Jews brought as the mincha or afternoon offering on the second day of Passover. Actually, mincha means a present, of flour. This was followed by the counting of the Omer, where the Jews counted every day for 7 weeks, 49 days in total, leading up to the festival of Shavuos on the 50th day, which also celebrates the receiving of the Torah at Sinai. Even after the destructions of the first and second temple where the Omer offering was brought, the tradition of counting the Omer continues. Beginning with the second night of Pesach, of Passover, every one of these 49 days binding Passover to Shavuos is counted in orderly progression. At the end of the evening prayer of Ma'ariv on each of these 49 nights, a Jew recites a blessing and then verbalizes the number of that day. Today, one would say, Hayoim Chamisha ve'esrim yoim sheheim shloisha shavuos ve'arba yomim la'omer. In addition to commemorating the counting of the Omer, the 49 days of the Sefira also express a Jew's eager anticipation of receiving the Torah on Shavuos, 50 days after experiencing the liberation of Pesach, of Passover. What is the significance of counting for the 49 days? And how does it relate to the anticipation of and preparation for receiving the Torah? What relevance does this counting have for us today? And how does this apply to the exploration of the inner dimensions of our soul? The answer to these questions lies in a deeper understanding of the exodus of Jewish nation from Egypt. The word Mitzrayim, which is Hebrew for Egypt, means limitations and boundaries, and represents all forms of conformity and definition that restrain, inhibit, or hamper our free movement and expression. Thus, leaving Egypt, leaving Mitzrayim, means freedom from constraints. After leaving Mitzrayim, the Jews spent the next 49 days in the desert, preparing themselves spiritually for the most monumental experience of all time, the giving of the Torah to Moshe and the Jewish people at Mount Sinai. This 49-day period that was one of intense character refinement. For 49 days, the Jews climbed one step at a time up the emotional ladder toward a higher purity. So the service of Sfiras HaOmer, of counting the Omer, says the Lubavitch Rebbe, Rabbi Schneerson, in Sefer Sichos 5751, page 510, the refinement of the 7 emotions of Nefesh HaBahamis, of the animal soul. The main service in this time, the time of the exile, constitutes in this that in addition to Ve'etoir, Ve'eskadesh, B'kedusha Shel Ma'ala, purifying oneself and sanctifying oneself in the sanctity of above, which is, as we say in the Rebbe Shalom, following the counting of the Omer, through this is accomplished also in the world and in all of the worlds. Through this there will be influence, the great influence in the entire, on all of the worlds. And through this, there is an increase even more in the neshama, in the soul, in the Jewish soul of the man who does the service of God, as we continue with this prayer after Yushpa Shefara B'chol Ha'olamois, to correct our souls and spirits and our neshamas, our godly souls, from any impurity and blemish, and to purify us and sanctify us in your supreme sanctity. Similar to Ein Ata Bali De Aveda, a man, through looking at the 3 things that we mentioned in the previous lesson, would not even come to something that leads to an Aveda, which is the refinement and the elevation of the person and his service in the world. And through the service of counting the Omer, instituting the Aleph, the master of the universe in Goyla, in the exile, through the refinement of the 7 emotions, starting with chesed, kindness, continuing with gvura, strength and restraint, tiferes, beauty and compassion, netzach, endurance, fortitude, ambition, hidah, acknowledgement, yesod, bonding, foundation, and finally royalty, malchus. So through the refinement of these 7 emotional attributes, we bring the redemption, the geula, and the Eibush, God will return to us the service of the Beis Hamikdash to its place speedily in our days, amen, forever, as we say in the Harachamon immediately following the blessing and the counting. The days of counting themselves, of days of Sefira themselves, which are generally divided on Sheva Shabbosis Trimos, 7 complete weeks, specifically in this year, in which we started counting Mimocharas HaShabbos, literally, since the first day of Pesach was on Shabbos. So this is even more emphasized in the 4th week. In the 4th Shabbos, when we conclude the Sefira, the counting of the attribute of Netzach, endurance, fortitude, ambition, till its most complete level, Malchus Shebenetzach, royalty, within nobility in endurance. After the end of Midas HaChesed, till Malchus Shebechesed, of the attribute of kindness, till nobility and royalty within kindness, the attribute of Gvura, of strength and restraint, till Malchus Shebegvura, royalty and nobility in strength and restraint, and the attribute of Tiferes, of beauty and compassion, till Malchus Shebetiferes, nobility in compassion. So this is the victory over. This symbolizes signifies the victory over the concealment and hiddenness of exile, till Netzach Shebenetzach, endurance within endurance, and Hoid Shebenetzach, the beauty in the humility and beauty and humility in the victory, and Yesod Shebenetzach, the foundation and establishment of the victory, till Malchus Shebenetzach, the victory of King Mashiach in the true complete redemption. Beginning with Parshas Acharei, we speak about the service of Aaron Kohen Gadol, the great priest, in the high priest in Kodesh HaKadoshim, the Holy of Holies. And with this, Aaron will come to the Holy, etc. Something that's similar and an example of the situation of redemption is the high priest, the Kohen Gadol, in Kodesh HaKadoshim, the Holy of Holies. Kodesh HaKadoshim, the Holy of Holies, is the holiest area in the world. There's an area and place in which godliness shined in a revealed manner without concealments and blockages. Together with this was a physical place in this world, was a physical area in this world, and the high priest, the Kohen Gadol, entered there as a neshama in a body, not the way it was by Nadav and Avihu, in which there was ratzah, yearning without shayv, without returning and remaining grounded firmly in this world. Similar to this, there was by each and every Kohen, that together with this, that the Kohenim were separated from the rest of the Eden, as it says, Vayavdil Aaron Lagdishay Kodesh HaKadoshim. The pasuk says in Divrei Hayomim, in Chronicles part 1, chapter 23, verse 13, that God had separated Aaron to sanctify him, the Holy of Holies, above the world. So he did, together with this, he did his avodah, service of God, bedafka, as a neshama, as a godly soul in a physical body in this world, in a world in which there's an area and a place for the opposite of purity, and Dafka over there, he fulfills the command in the beginning of Parshas Emoir, which we're going to read Shabbos by Mincha, Emoir alakonim b'nei Aharon. You say to the Kohenim, the sons of Aaron, V'amarta aleim, you should say to them, L'nefesh lo yitama be'amav, since they're holy, they cannot be defiled to any soul of a person who has been deceased in his nation. And the completeness of the concept of purity will be in the true complete redemption, when there will be no longer be death, and as a similar to preparation, as a prototype of a preparation to this, there is also during the time of exile that Kohenim are careful from to stay away from concepts of defilement. They stay away from coming close to a mace unless it's one of the 7 relatives that they're supposed to be defile themselves: a father, a mother, brother, a sister, a son, a daughter, and a wife, a spouse. And one can say that this is also a preparation to the completeness of purity in the world, in the future, in the world to come, including through this that Emoir Gomer V'amarto, you shall say, and you shall say, our rabbis interpret that this comes lahazir g'deilim alaktanim, that those who are already mature, the boys are over 13, and the girl is over the age of 12, she's bas mitzvah, they have to warn, and the small ones, that they also, the small kohenim, that they also have to stay away from concepts of impurity. And in addition to this carefulness, lahazir, that one should stay away from the opposite of purity, the kohen had to do his service in the Beis HaMikdash, holiness being fully clothed in the clothes of kahuna, the garments of priesthood, which were lechavid ul-tiferes, for glory and for beauty, which is completeness in the physical sense. And accordingly, one can explain why a kohen who has served God with lacking one of these garments that he's required to wear, his avodah is puzzle. His avodah is no good. So Chazal tell us in Maseches Zvachim 17b, in Rambam Laws of Klei HaMikdash, the vessels of the Beis HaMikdash, chapter 10, law number 4, that when their clothes are on them, their priesthood is on them. When their clothes are not on them, their priesthood is not on them. Although the concept of the garments of priesthood was mainly l'chavid ul-tiferes, for glory and beauty, which is at first glance not as so much concerning to the very essence of the avodah, of the service of God, just the completeness of the service of God in the Mishkan, constitutes in this that it should be with the ultimate completeness and beauty, l'chavid ul-tiferes, glory and beauty, also physically, literally, on the nicest and most respectful manner in all, till in the physicality of the world. We utilize it for the service of God in holiness, all possibilities of this world. And in completeness, the concept of kohuna is by the Kohen Gadol, by the high priest, who wore 8 garments. And accordingly, one can maybe say the reason why the Kohen Gadol had to be Gadol Me'echov, he had to be greater than his brothers, ba'isher, in richness, so much so that the Gemara says, and the Halacha tells us that if we decided to appoint somebody for Kohen Gadol and he doesn't have money, we have to give him money, so he should be greater also in richness, because the completeness of holiness of a Kohen Gadol is connected with this, that it is continued, drawn down with the completeness in everything till in the physicality of the world, richness. And according to what's explained in the Medrash on the pasuk, on the verse, "B'zois yavei arin," and this iron will come. Whenever the Kohen Gadol wants to enter, he should enter. He should enter with this order, with the sacrifices that are mentioned, that one is obligated to bring on Yom Kippur. One can say that the true place of a Kohen Gadol is in the level of Kodesh of Kodoshim, the Holy of Holies, and so it will be in a revealed manner in the true complete redemption, when it will be the completeness of man and the world, and the nullification of all opposite concepts. However, prior to that, we are not a vessel on the Bechol Shah, on the every moment. Prior to that, one can enter only on Yom Kippur. And then it will be the completeness of a revelation of drawing down the holiness in a revealed manner down here, a dwelling for the Holy One, blessed be He, in the lower worlds, as mentioned above. Just like all concepts of Torah, from the Lashon Hora directive, in this there's also a directive for every Yid. All Yidden are a Mamlechas Kohanim, a kingdom of priests, as the Eibishter had told Moshe Rabbeinu immediately preceding Matan Torah. They're Kohanim Gdolim, they're great priests, as the Balaturim points out on the Pasuk, and in a revealed manner and completeness it will be in the true complete redemption. And therefore every Yid has a connection as a neshama in a physical body to the holiness of Kodesh HaKadoshim, the Holy of Holies, the completeness of holiness, and as the rule, like the ruling of the Rambam, that not merely the tribe of Levi was separated and designated to serve God, but each and every Jewish man whose spirit has made him volunteer that he should dedicate his life to the spreading of Torah, so he becomes holy, the Holy of Holies, etc. And according to the above mentioned medrash, that in each moment that he wants to enter, he shall enter, one can say that every Yid has the potential, the way he stands here below, a neshama in a physical body, to be in the level of Kodesh HaKadoshim, the Holy of Holies, and one can say that it will be actually this way in the future, in the world to come. And it will be sweetened according to the story in the prophets, that during the time of danger, when Asalia wanted to kill all those descended from the house of David, so Yehosheva, who was the mother of Yoash, of the surviving member of the house of David, she hid Yoash, who was from the seed of the king. He was descended son after son from David and Shlomo HaMelech, and she hid Yoash and his wet nurse in the Cheder Hamitos, in the room of the beds, on the top floor of Beis Kodesh HaKadoshim, of the Holy of Holies. And he was with her in the house of God, hiding for 6 years, etc. As it says in Kings 2, part 2, chapter 11, verse 1 and onwards. And from this it is understood that being in Kodesh HaKadoshim, Holy of Holies, he had there all his physical needs, eating, drinking, and sleeping. And one can say that this is since in the truth of the things, the place of each Yid is in the Holy of Holies, as it will be in a revealed manner in true complete redemption. Just this was revealed actually through the descent, through the danger, similar to the fact that the elevation of redemption comes through the Avodah and Goyla and exile, as understood also from the command and giving of power in the beginning of Parshas Kedoshim, the Parsha that we're reading this Shabbos, together with Parshas Acharei Kedoshim Tiyu Ki Kodesh Oni, you should be holy because I am holy, being a neshama, a godly soul in a goof, in a body, in this physical world, that there it's possible to command of being holy, being separated and dignified when one engages in everyday activities. So a Yid stands in a situation of holiness, till the most elevated holiness of the holiness of God, as the interpretation of Chassidus on the Drash of Chazal, and Vayikra Naba on the Pasuk Yochel Kamoini. One might think like me, one is able like me, Talmud Leimer telling you Ki Kodesh Oni, that I am holy. So the Chassidus interprets Yochel Kamoini Benichasa, that we're saying in a relaxed manner, you could achieve and attain the same level of holiness like me, in the level of holiness of Kodesh Oni, that I am holy. And the Rebbe connects all of this also with the name of the person whose yahrzeit, whose day of passing happens on Yud Gimel Iyar, which is going to be on Shabbos. His name is Rabbi Yisrael Ayaleib, that's the Rebbe's brother. And the Rebbe mentions first that although at first glance it is the name of an individual person, it has a connection with all Yidden, because all Yidden are one entity, one koima achas shleima, one complete height. And specifically, since his first name is Yisrael, the general name of every Yid and all Yidden, as it is known also that the neshama of Yaakov, whose individual name was also Yisrael, is included from all neshamas within Yidden, should be Yisrael, from one world to the other world. And as according to the famous directive of the Rebbe Rashab, Shalom Ber Nishmasei Eden, that in Yonim of Avodah, of service of God, that one can connect with words of Tanya, one is allowed to speak and speak it in a wide manner, even though in general there's people are careful to say pirushim, commentaries in the book of Tanya. So it's similarly understood in our case that it is deserving and proper to explain a directive from the name of the person that has the yard site, when this can increase in Yiras Shamayim, in fear of heaven and service of God. Yisrael, the general name of Yidden, as mentioned above, has in it two opposite concepts at first glance. Yisrael is an acronym, it's a Rosh Tevis. Yesh Shishim Oisius Latayra, there are 600,000 letters to the Torah, because there are 600,000 general Neshamas Yisrael, which each and every one of them is divided on 600,000 specific Neshamas, and each Neshama corresponds to one letter of the 600,000 letters in the Torah. And this letter is his source of vitality, etc. And B, Yisrael is named after when Yaakov was angling with the Malach of Esav. So the Malach told him, you have been a master with angels of God and people, and you were able. So this concept of Sarisai Malikim Vanoshim Vatuchol, that you were able to overcome angels and God, angels of God and people, this shows the service of war against the world. Imalikim, which is a reference to the minister and angel of Esav, and Anoshim, men, refers to Esav and Lavan. So this is, at first glance, the exact opposite of this, that Yisrael is an acronym, Yeshishim Ribay Oisius LaTorah, there are 600,000 letters to the Torah. The way the Neshamas of Yidden are connected with the Torah, which is above the world. So the Rebbe explains the explanation in this, in the service of God, that first of all, every Yid has to know that he's Yisrael, that his source and root of vitality is from his letter in the Torah, and therefore each thing that he does has to be founded and based on according to directives of the Torah. In addition to this, he has to know that the completeness of his avodah, of the service of God as a Yid, as a Yisrael, constitutes in this that he separates himself. He doesn't separate himself from the world around him. Just he looks around in three things: that in addition to his service with himself, Yisrael, connected with his letter of Torah, he has to do the avodah, the service of God, of making a dwelling to God in the lower worlds as a Yisrael, through going out together with the directives of Torah in the world, and having to do with Elokim, with an angel, the natural powers within the world, as the statement of our sages of blessed memory in Bereshis Rabbah, chapter 10, that Eilecha kol Esav ve'Esav, there's no grass that doesn't have a mazel, a spiritual source in heaven that hits him and tells him grow. And this, and also deal with men, Esav and Lavan, the nations of the world, and over there make a dwelling for the God according to directives of the Torah, from the 600,000 letters of the Torah, through the fact that one masters with angels of God and men. He is a master, he rules over the world and the nations of the world, and in a manner of vatuchol, that you are able, which is also from the language of kol, everything, and kolul, inclusive, and kolul, and total, that his avodah, the service of God, of sarisa, of mastering, it's not through nullifying the entity of the world, or overcoming the world in forcing the world, compelling the world by force, but in a manner that he utilizes the natural powers themselves in the service of God, and he accomplishes on the nations of the world that they on their own should serve God in a manner of malchusei berotzen kiblu aleihem, their kingdom, his kingdom of God, with will they have accepted upon themselves, till the world itself says vatuchol, the world itself helps his service, and through this it becomes vatuchol, from the lashon koil, that we have all concepts of the world, and from lashon iskalos, inclusiveness, that the Yid includes within himself all concepts of the world, and he elevates them till it becomes accomplished the concept of Geula, of redemption, which includes Goyla, through the drawing down of Aleph of Alufei Shel Olam. And the manner how you do the Avodah of Yisrael is through Aryeh, a lion. One should be as strong as a lion to do the will of your Father in heaven. As it says also in the beginning of Shulchan Aruch, he overcomes all the concealments and hiddenness in the world. And in addition to his overcoming in his Avodah, in the Yonim of Kedusha, a lion, there's by him also the overcoming, which is the Aryeh, which is the Hebrew word for a lion. He also overcomes the Avodah, the service of God, in permissive things and in mundane things, secular things, which is the Avodah, the service of God in the Yonim of the world, which is denoted in the fact that the word lion is translated also into Yiddish and German, Leib. And the Rebbe adds that Leib is also the letters of Leib, the heart, with a Yud in the middle, which denotes the heart of a man, Leib, and the 10 powers of the soul, Yud, and specifically more, sometimes Leib is written with 2 Yudin, corresponding to the 2 levels within a neshama, Yaakov and Yisrael, because the Avodah of Yisrael, of making a dwelling in the lower worlds, is accomplished through the 10 powers of the soul, the way they're surrounded with the heart of a person, and the heart of a Yid is always complete, even when a person, as we say in Shir Hashirim, that even when Ani Yashena, when I'm sleeping, Libi in my heart is awake. And the Rebbe also adds that the heart is, which surrounds the Yud, are the 3 garments of thought, speech, and action, which surround the 10 powers, and they express them in the Avodah, the service of a person, actually down here. And the Rebbe connects it also with the day of Yud Gimel Iyar. Yud Gimel is the numerical value of Echad, of 1, which denotes the service of accomplishing that God will be a king over the entire land, and that day God will be one and his name will be one. It's the revelation of the kingdom and unity of God in the world, till in a manner of Malchus Shebenetzach, of royalty within victory. Thank you.